Thank you. Please be seated. There are many honors and privileges bestowed on the occupant of this house, but few mean as much to me as the chance to award America's highest civilian medal to the recipients that are here today. This is a chance for me and for the United States of America to say thank you to some of the finest citizens of this country and of all countries. The men and women we honor today have led very different lives and pursued very different careers. They're pioneers in science and medicine. They're gifted artists and indomitable athletes. They have made their mark in the courtroom, in the community, and in Congress. And what unites them is a belief that most, forgive me to those of you who are not Americans, but what we consider to be that most American of beliefs, that our lives are what we make of them, that no barriers of race, gender, or physical infirmity can restrain the human spirit, and that the truest test of a person's life is what we do for one another. The recipients of the Medal of Freedom did not set out to win this or any other award. They did not set out in pursuit of glory or fame or riches. Rather, they set out guided by passion, committed to hard work, aided by persistence, often with few advantages but the gifts, grace, and good name God gave them. So let them stand as an example here in the United States and around the world of what we can achieve in our own lives. Let them stand as an example of the difference we can make in the lives of others. Let each of their stories stand as an example of a life well lived. One of the last things Susie Komen did before she passed away was ask her sister Nancy to make her a promise. Nancy promised her she would prevent other families battling breast cancer from hurting the way theirs had. What began with $200 and a list of friends has become a global race for the cure, a campaign that has eased the pain and saved the lives of millions around the world. In the months after her sister's death, Nancy lay awake at night thinking about the promise she had made and wondering whether one person could really make a difference. Nancy's life is the answer. While an intern at Miami's Jackson Memorial, Dr. Pedro José Greer came across a patient in a coma without a known name or address, a homeless man found by firefighters suffering from tuberculosis. In the days that followed, the physician Little Havana knows as Dr. Joe searched for clues about the patient's life in the squalor under Miami's highways. Deciding that Miami's homeless deserved better, Dr. Greer founded Camila's Health Concern, a clinic that now offers care to over 4,000 poor and homeless patients. It's a life that might be distilled into a question Dr. Greer asks all of us. If we don't fight injustice, who will? Professor Stephen Hawking was a brilliant man and a mediocre student when he lost his balance and tumbled down a flight of stairs. Diagnosed with a rare disease and told he had just a few years to live, he chose to live with new purpose. And happily, in the 4 decades since, he has become one of the world's leading scientists. His work in theoretical physics, which I will not attempt to explain further here, has advanced our understanding of the universe. His popular books have advanced the cause of science itself. From his wheelchair, he's led us on a journey to the farthest and strangest reaches of the cosmos. In so doing, he has stirred our imagination and shown us the power of the human spirit here on earth. Now, told he was too small to play college football, Jack Kemp became a pro quarterback. Cut by 4 teams, he led the Buffalo Bills to 2 championships. Football, he once said, gave him a good sense of perspective about politics. He'd already been booed, cheered, cut, sold, and traded. So, makes me feel better. A conservative thinker, a Republican leader, and a defender of civil rights. He was that rare patriot who put country over party, never forgetting what he learned on the gridiron, that it takes each of us doing our part and all of us working together to achieve a common goal. It's a life from which we can all draw lessons, Democrat and Republican alike. After purchasing an $8 racket with money earned from chores, 11-year-old Billie Jean declared a goal to be the #1 tennis player in the world. Yet, what we honor are not simply her 12 Grand Slam titles, 101 doubles titles, and 67 singles titles. Pretty good, Billie Jean. We honor what she calls all of the off-the-court stuff, what she did to broaden the reach of the game, to change how women athletes and women everywhere view themselves, and to give everyone, regardless of gender or sexual orientation, including my 2 daughters, a chance to compete both on the court and in life. As Billie Jean once said, we should never, ever underestimate the human spirit, nor should we underestimate Billie Jean King's spirit. Born and raised in Jim Crow, Alabama, preaching in his blood, the Reverend Joseph Lowery is a giant of the Moses generation of civil rights leaders. It was just King, Lowery, and a few others huddled in Montgomery who laid the groundwork for the bus boycott and the movement that was to follow. The founder of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Lowery was later asked to serve as president. He agreed to serve for 1 year, but wound up serving, as he puts it, for 20 one-year terms. Throughout his life, some have called him crazy, but one of my favorite sermons that I heard Dr. Lowery once deliver, he said, there's good crazy and there's bad crazy. And sometimes you need a little bit of that good crazy to make the world a better place. Born just a generation past the Battle of the Little Bighorn, a grandson of a scout for General Custer himself, Dr. Joseph Medicine Crow was the first member of his tribe to attend college and earn a master's. Before completing his PhD, he left to serve in World War II, wearing war paint beneath his uniform and a sacred feather beneath his helmet. Joseph Medicine Crow completed the 4 battlefield deeds that made him the last Crow War chief. Historian, educator, and patriot. A good man. A Buja Icha in Crow. Dr. Medicine Crow's life reflects not only the warrior spirit of the Crow people, but America's highest ideals. His name was Harvey Milk, and he was here to recruit us, all of us, to join a movement and change a nation. For much of his early life, he had silenced himself. In the prime of his life, he was silenced by the act of another. But in the brief time in which he spoke and ran and led, his voice stirred the aspirations of millions of people. He would become, after several attempts, one of the first openly gay Americans elected to public office. And his message of hope, hope unashamed, hope unafraid, could not ever be silenced. It was Harvey who said it best. You got to give them hope. When a young Sandra Day graduated from Stanford Law School near the top of her class in 2 years instead of the usual 3, she was offered just one job in the private sector. Her prospective employer asked her how well she typed and told her there might be work for her as a legal secretary. Now, I cannot know how she would have fared as a legal secretary, but she made a mighty fine justice of the United States Supreme Court. A judge, an Arizona legislator, cancer survivor, child of the Texas Plains. Sandra Day OConnor is like the pilgrim in the poem she sometimes quotes, who has forged a new trail and built a bridge behind her for all young women to follow. It's been said that Sidney Poitier does not make movies, he makes milestones. Milestones of artistic excellence, milestones of America's progress. On screen and behind the camera,